The best of the morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, preparing you for a better week ahead. Jamaica has been in the news lately with a double murder in a so-called worship service in a so-called church in Montego Bay, led by a so-called pastor who desired to be addressed with the titles Reverend, Doctor, and above all, His Excellency. 2 women were slaughtered in a bizarre act of supposed sacrifice under the instruction of the man presiding over the event. Now, all this has heightened concerns about cults and cultism, especially since cults of all kinds abound around us and many go unnoticed. They are not only or even primarily religious cults, and they are not benign. One in particular is potent, eating America from the inside out, and has already stretched its destructive tentacles worldwide, reaching where even you, my dear viewer, lives. Now, I can spend 4 hours addressing this matter, and although I'll take today a few more minutes than usual, what I shall say is only a scratch to the surface of the matter. Although the Jamaican situation was religious, some cults are not religious in that sense at all, though they may possess rituals and religiously follow certain pursuits and behaviors. Any meaningful definition of cult should reference a grouping or movement in which the adherents differ in and diverge from beliefs and behaviors that are normally and widely accepted and embraced by people in the rest of the community, whether that community is religious or national or otherwise. So a cult can be a religious grouping that differs dramatically from the main religion it claims to hold, or it may be a gang that lives by completely different rules from the rest of the city, or it may be a politically based or motivated movement that, for example, creates its alternate universe, abiding by so-called alternate truth, otherwise known as conspiracy theories, fantasy, and lies. Walter Martin was an American theologian and academic who produced a compendium called the Kingdom of the Cults. To date, no one has produced as vast and exhaustive an exploration of religious cults. However, within Martin's work are the seeds of any other kind of cult. Cults and their people may look like the genuine thing, but they are not. They may look like your regular Christian church people, but they are nothing close to regular. They may look like your normal politicians, but they are nothing close. Now, 3 major categories of analysis help us understand cults. 1, orthodoxy and truth. 2, authoritarianism. And 3, psychological and physiological observations. And remember, I'm doing here only a fast skim, not a deep dive. So first, orthodoxy and truth. Cults and their adherents reject orthodoxy. They construct their own truth. They demonize the media or anyone who challenges their truth. And their leaders claim to have equal authority to God, or claim to speak for Jesus or Muhammad or whoever, and claim to be superior to the government or be above the law. They set up their own inflexible belief systems and claim a monopoly on truth, rejecting anything else as untrue or unacceptable. Because cult leaders and their followers are footloose with the truth, when their shoddy truths and faulty reasoning are confronted with facts, their responses are seldom in reply to the specific points they just heard. Instead, they revert to generalizations and with talking points, deflecting the truths as nonsense and the fact sources as false. Second, authoritarianism. Cult adherents reject accepted authority and hold allegiance to one authoritarian individual, believing that individual's truths and upholding those truths as unassailable and unchallengeable by any other truth or perspective, or even scientific evidence. Only the cult leader's words, ideas, and perspectives are authoritative and followers are compelled to accept them or be doomed. Walter Martin states that, quote, cult systems tend to invest with the authority of the supernatural whatever pronouncements are deemed necessary to condition and control the minds of their followers, unquote. Now, this is why it has been so lamentably easy for some church people to blindly embrace and give credibility to the lies, dishonesty, racism, and divisiveness that some may call political choice, but which, step by step, are all major departures from the properly interpreted biblical values that genuine Christians uphold and incongruent with the way Jesus practiced unprejudicial love. As well, as I point out in my book, and lead us not into dysfunction, Christian people in particular, but all people in general, love a story with heroes. And leadership theory tells us about the trait theory, otherwise known as the great man theory, on which the idea of messiahs and deliverers is built, and upon which idea it is easy for some blowhard, megalomaniac demagogue to come along and fool shallow-thinking people with his outlandish lies, whether their thinking is religious or political. Cult personalities leave little or no room for choice or freedom of thought among their followers and regularly manipulate information. This is fertile ground for misinformation and disinformation, which quickly becomes a favorite tactic of cult leaders, especially when they are politically based, but even when they are church-based, as happened in Montego Bay, Jamaica, with His Excellency Dr. Kevin Smith, or before him, Warren Jeffs, David Koresh, or Jim Jones. The authoritarianism and the lies it produces are so powerful they divide families and end friendships. Adherents consider their allegiance to cult or the cult leader enough to make family and friends expendable. Cult leaders are able to exercise this authoritarian hold over their followers by painting a dark picture, a very dark picture of the world, and their followers believe it when even the leaders themselves don't believe that nonsense. And they create the further illusion that they alone have the answer to that darkness that they paint, that they alone can fix it, and they alone can save their followers from the rot, the lies, the hoaxes, and the other ills they claim pervade the real world. In that world, all other perspectives are faulty. All other preachers are false. All other authorities are illegitimate, and all media are liars. Only their truth, their wisdom, and their perspective and their authority matter. Third, psychological and physiological observations. Have you noticed how closed-minded cult followers are, rejecting any challenge or opportunity for reasoning? Walter Martin states, quote, they are not interested in a rational cognitive evaluation of the facts, unquote. Cult followers display visceral, physiological reactions when their truth or thoughts are opposed, especially if challenged as erroneous. Don't you see it? When, say, CNN reporters approach QAnon or supporters at a Trump rally who believe that Trump is running the government, yet somehow is not responsible for the faulty withdrawal from Afghanistan. The hostility is always at personal level because the cult adherent is incapable of engaging with information. The challenger, not the corrective information the challenger brings, is the enemy. And so, cult people carry themselves in a kind of isolationism where they think they alone in the world possess the truth, or in the case of religious cults, they are the only ones who are favored by God, or they are the only true American, or the only true race, or whatever it is they want to think. That isolationism leads next and quickly to a martyr complex or a persecution complex. We white people are the ones who are under oppression, they would say, when the facts present that black people and Hispanic people and immigrants are still the ones who are persecuted today. Now, all of this is manifested in the immediate physiological and attitudinal change in a cult member when their position is not even challenged or questioned, but is differed from in mere passing by someone in conversation or in another situation where the cult member has to listen to them. They become intensely impatient of discussion, let alone reasoning. So my friends, look, opinion is not fact. People who understand the difference go at their own opinions cautiously and at other people's opinions respectfully. Opinions should always give way to facts. If the sky is blue, no amount of opining can change the fact that the sky is blue. If water is wet, no number of talk shows with experts and witnesses can make water a block of dry concrete. If water is wet and the sky is blue, and we all know this to be a fact, and someone comes along not only saying the sky is green with purple stripes and water is powder, but that person comes along also changing laws and systems based on the lie that the sky is striped green and purple and water is powder, disfranchising and disadvantaging people who know and see that the sky is blue and water is wet, and electing people who support the big lie, then it is only a matter of time before somebody gets hurt, somebody gets killed, and some calamity befalls the nation, and the nation itself and its democracy crumbles. And all along the way, any religion that gives support to that kind of lie shall have totally lost its credibility. The hell in which such adherents believe shall be well deserved for them themselves. Water is wet, the sky is blue, and I am 𝗂𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗏, and your week just got better. I'll see you again next week. Happy Monday, all the way to Friday.